This is the second video in our series of Escape the Maze. As you can see here, I've drawn a little bit of a maze. It's not 100% complete. It's a 15 by 15 maze. If I change it to 10 by 10, you can see that I've got an empty canvas. If I go back to 15 by 15, I've got the saved maze here. I want to just draw a couple of items in here, see if I can't complete this maze up a bit. I don't want there to be too many open blocks. Alright, so our maze here is complete, so I'm going to click on save. When I go to 10:10 and 15:15, now you can see that the maze loaded after I have saved it. So let's talk about how we saved this maze and what you need to know to be able to do that. As you can see, my developer tools are open. If you go to the application tab, you can see there's a section here called storage. Part of storage is local storage. And if I open up local storage, it'll show you the URLs in which it has storage. So let me just click refresh here. Here you can see that I have an array of ones and zeros. Ones represents walls and zeros represent gaps. So if you can follow this with your eye to some degree, you can see there where the ones are is where the walls are, and there where the zeros are is where the gaps are. So how exactly did I save this? Well, that's going to be part of the research that you need to go and do. What I can tell you is that you're using local storage, and local storage has a key and a value. The key is the name of the storage you want to use. In this case, I'm using the dimensions as the key, and I am using JSON to save my data array. So there's a JSON object in JavaScript that you can use. It's all capitals, and it has two functions. One is called parse. So parse is when I have a string and I want to create that JSON from that. But in this case, we actually want to go the opposite way. We want to use JSON.stringify. That will give me a string back from my JSON. So JSON.stringify and JSON.parse are very common functions that we use to work with objects and to parse them between strings and also objects. Let's talk about how the data was created. So when I swap between the sizes, I have a two-dimensional array in the background. When we look at the DOM elements, if we can just get Chrome to play ball, that would also be nice. If we look at the DOM elements here, you'll see that they have rows and columns defined. So this defines the position in the 2D array that we need to go and mark. We don't have to go and guess and do fancy calculations. When we built the maze up in the first place, we already calculated all of this stuff and we put this into the markup here. So I know that if I want to mark this particular element and I want to check whether it is a wall or whether it's a gap in the array, I must go and look at row 1, column 7. The same with writing it. So if I write to the array, I need to go to row 1, column 7 and mark it as a wall, in which case it's a 1. So what you need to end up with then is an array like this where each wall item in the appropriate position is a 1 and each gap is a 0. Additionally, I've also added a clear button. I want to go to this and let's say I go and create a very simple sort of a maze structure. I'm not going to go and spend an enormous amount of effort on this. So there it is. I save it, I go out, I go back in. You can see it's saving. I also have a clear button that I can click that clears this out so I can start from scratch again. Now the clear button doesn't actually save it, so if I don't save it and I go and refresh that again, you can see that that's still what it was. You can choose whether or not you want to override the save with your clear button. I prefer not to do that because it buys me an opportunity to refresh that back from the save. So I could very easily add a refresh button, go and make a bunch of changes here, decide that I don't want to save those changes, click on the refresh button, and it'll take me back to what I had in the saved storage. So this is the next part of the chapter of the equation, to say, how do I save this data structure that I've painted in local storage, so that next time I come back to that, I can load it again and continue from where I left off.